Hi, Anna at the Sewing Studio here, and in this video I am introducing to you the Brother Inventio 1850Q sewing machine. I'm going to talk you through all its features, I'll show you everything that comes in the box, do some sewing, show you how to thread the machine, show you its capabilities, and then talk a bit about warranty and support. We've split all of those into chapters, so if there's a particular section you're interested in, feel free to head straight there. Now the rest of the video will feature the Brother Innovis 1800Q, and that's because this is an update to that model. Internally it's exactly the same. Brother have given it its brand new name of Inventio 1850Q. It's had a fresh new look, but also this section here has been slimmed down so that we have better viewing of the needle when we're sewing. But rest assured, everything that you are about to watch is exactly the same. So the Brother Innovis 1800Q is a feature-packed computerised machine. It really does allow you to add your own personal style to all your projects. I'm going to take a look at the stitches first. Don't get me wrong, it's not the most important part of a machine. Well, it's quite important, but it will show you how you can really allow your creativity to flow with this machine. So it's got 232 built-in stitches. Now that sounds quite a lot, but contained within that is 5 different fonts. 3 of those are alphabets, both uppercase and lowercase, and there's 1 Cyrillic and 1 Japanese. Don't underestimate with the rest of the stitches how the right stitch for the job can really make a difference to the project that you're making. So you'll find a mix of utility stitches, and that includes 10 different styles of one-step buttonhole. There's also decorative options, blanket stitches, satin stitches, all sorts of different ones for whatever type of project you're doing. These are all easily selected using the touchpad here, where you can also alter the length and the width of the stitch. Now the maximum stitch width on this machine is 7mm. However, it does have the ability to sew some decorative stitches up to 40mm, and I'll show you those when we get to the sewing section. And that's due to the fact that the machine has sideways feed that allows you to sew in multi directions. That's also really useful for sewing on patches or the little square that you need to sew to reinforce handbag handles and things like that. It also has a mirror stitch function, so you can flip those stitches around, and a built-in memory so you can save favourite stitches or a combination of stitches. Now, if all that wasn't enough, it also comes with a built-in stitch composer so you can create your own. And included in the box are these grid sheet templates to help you plot it out before you then program it into the machine. Now the machine comes with a foot pedal, but it's computerised, so you also have a start-stop button, but you have the ability to control your speed. And this machine sews at a top speed of 850 stitches per minute. Now I'll come back to this button in a moment. Here you've got your automatic thread cutter, needle up, needle down, which can be set for when you stop sewing for the needle to either stay in the work or come up, whichever you prefer. And then you've got a locking stitch and your reverse. Now this button here controls the presser foot. You still have a lever like you would traditionally, and that has the extra high lift for any bulky items. But you can also use this button to lower and raise the presser foot. Having an electronic presser foot means that you can have what's called a pivot function. So basically when you stop sewing, you can set the machine so that the needle stays in the work and then the presser foot comes up. And then you can simply keep your hands on the work, turn, and off you go sewing again. The presser foot automatically comes down. And that means that the process is a lot quicker. You can keep your hands on the work and concentrate on what you're doing. You can adjust the height of that foot in the setting. So if you're doing something bulkier, you can have it raise higher automatically, entirely up to you. Now the presser foot also has Brother's exclusive iCaps technology, and that stands for Innovis Continuous Automatic Pressure System. And basically it's constantly detecting what thickness of fabric you have under the presser foot. So it's adjusting the pressure that's on it to help you feed the fabric and get nice even stitches. You have the ability to either have that function on or off, and you can manually change the pressure in the settings if you'd rather do it that way. It also has knee lift technology, which just slots in the front there. That also raises and lowers the presser foot, and that's really good for when you're doing any applique work or turning corners, things like that. It has a square feed drive system, and that's really good at keeping stitches even and consistent, and also gives great control with your fabric when it's under the presser foot. You also have the ability to drop the feed dogs to do any darning or free motion work. Now, as well as the automatic thread cutter, it also has automatic tension and an automatic needle threader, which is one of the easiest there are on the market, and I will show you that when we come to thread it up. It has a top loading bobbin system, so it's easy to load and you can see when it's running out. And it also has the quick set in there, so there's no need to draw up the bobbin thread. It's got 8 inches of space to the right of the needle, and it also comes with quite a large extension table that just slots on the front there. And that gives you a nice big working area for bigger projects. It's handy when you're doing free motion, just to have lots of space to go in and around there. Yank that off. That also gives you your free arm in here for any hems and cuffs and things. And then on the accessory tray, there's lots of storage in here. So there's a section in the back and there's a section in the front as well. And there's a handy tray in here that stores some of the presser feet that come with the machine. So let's take a look at what those are. Firstly, you've got the standard zigzag foot that's already on the machine, a monogramming foot, overcasting, zipper, blind hem, one for sewing on buttons, and your one-step buttonhole, a non-stick foot or a Teflon foot, an open toe, adjustable zipper or piping, a stitch guide foot, a 1/4 inch with guide, a walking foot, free motion darning foot, and then a closed toe free motion and an echo quilting. There's a range of accessories, and those all stored neatly in this little accessory bag. It also comes with the foot control, power lead, and all-important instruction manual. You've got the extension table, which I've already shown you, but underneath it's got really nifty storage for the knee lift, really good for keeping everything together. And then lastly, it comes with a hard cover. Now this machine weighs around 9.8 kilos, so not the most transportable in the world, but certainly doable. And this helps to keep it protected. It's also good to really keep it free from dust when you're storing it away. So let's get the machine threaded together and show you some of its capabilities. Threading the machine is very simple. It's all numbered for you. Everything with the dotted line is to wind your bobbin, and everything with the solid line is for the needle. So you just pop your thread on, and then a little cap to stop it flying off. And then I'm just going to go in number 1, around number 2, down number 3, back and forth into the take-up lever number 4, number 5, and then in the guide at the top of the needle number 6. And then for the needle threader, you've got number 7 here. So you just need to pop the thread in under there, and as you go under number 7, you'll hear it click. I heard that click, but it's quite faint, so you might not have heard that on camera. Cut off the excess thread on the little thread cutter on the side, and then you very simply go down with the lever, and hey presto, as if by magic, the needle is threaded. For your bobbin, the tail of thread needs to go to the left, and then you just want to pop off the little cover, drop the bobbin in, and then you're going under this little lip here. I usually like to put my finger on to give it a bit of tension, under there, and then in, around, and cut. And as I say, that's set there now, so you don't need to drop the bobbin thread, but you can if you want to. When you first switch the machine on, it'll always default to a standard straight stitch, And the iCaps technology, which is the automatic pressure system on here, will automatically be off. I'm going to be using a few different types of fabric, so I want that on because I want to get the best results to show you. So I'm just going to go into the settings, find that one, which is here, Auto Fabric Sensor System. You can see it's off, and I'm just going to go to on, and now that is set to on. So I'm just going to pop my fabric in underneath, drop the presser foot and the needle, and this is just 2 layers of cotton. I'm not going to be using the foot pedal, I'm on the start stop button, and at the moment I'm on the slowest speed. And as you can see, I'm just going to reverse there, slow is really quite slow. Very manageable for precise stitching. It's got to midway and then up to full. Just going to secure those and then use my scissor button, and that raises the needle, snips the threads, and you can then very simply just take your work out. And then that's your nice neat straight stitch. That's the bottom. So to navigate between the different stitches, on the keypad here, these numbers you can see have got stitches on there. They are kind of direct press to the most commonly used stitches, if you like. The rest of them are split into different folders of utility, and then decorative, and then your fonts. And you select those different folders down here. These symbols match with the symbols up on the folder. So let's take a look at a zigzag stitch. So you can see number 5 has got the zigzag on, so that's just a very easy press to get to a zigzag stitch. And being computerized, it'll automatically default to a width and length for you, which you can adjust if you want to. And the tension is set at 4, but again, if you need to adjust that, you can. And I'll show you with this stitch the function of the locking stitch button. So when you're doing a zigzag, reversing to secure your stitch can look quite messy either end. So instead, you can do a locking stitch to secure the stitch. Too many stitches there. And what you do is you just keep your finger on the button for as many as you want to do. 3 is probably a good amount. And then you carry on with your stitch. And then when you come to finish, keep your finger on the button, it does a few stitches and then stops. And as you can see, that gives you a nice neat start and finish to your zigzag. And that's the bottom. Let's move on to a decorative stitch. I'm going to go for a row of hearts, which is in this one. So it asks me if it's okay to cancel the current pattern. And that is just in case you accidentally knock this and you didn't mean to. So, okay, I want to. And I'm going to go, what did I say, hearts. So that's stitch number 49. So just pop 49 in, and you can see this is now a row of hearts. Now I press the locking stitch button at the end of that row then, and that's because it will carry on sewing until it finishes the end of the pattern. So you can see there's a nice row of all full hearts there. And now you can mirror that for the hearts to face the opposite way, and you do that by just pressing the mirror button, and you'll see they're now upside down. And you can see they've sewn out the opposite way around. And that's really good when you're using this for a decorative effect and you want the hearts to stay the same way on opposite sides of the item. So I promised you some extra wide stitches. up to 40 millimeters. So let's choose one of those. So we'll cancel that one out and let's go for number 51. And there you are, nice wide stitches, and they're great when working with larger projects or like around the flap of a bag or anything that you want to use them on really. So let's take a look at the fonts. So we want to cancel that stitch, go to the fonts, and then let's spell out brother. So a capital B is number 2, and then lowercase r 44. Don't know my alphabet. 41, 46, 34, 31, nearly there, and then 44. There you go, that's the word brother. So then we pop it on, and away you go. And there you have the word brother. Now these connecting stitches have to be there, but each letter is secured individually, so you can just pick them off with your stitch rip if you want to. Next, we'll look at the one-step buttonhole. So as I say, there's 10 different styles depending on the type of fabric that you're using. I'm still using the piece of cotton, so I'm just going to go for a standard rectangular buttonhole. And that's back in the utility stitches. Yes, thank you. And stitch number 80. So I've already popped the buttonhole foot on the machine, which is what this is telling you, and then brought down the little sensor that it needs. So I'm just going to pop the fabric underneath, and away we go. Now you may have noticed that I slowed the speed down part way through there, and that's because a buttonhole stitch is quite dense, so it just helps the machine to cope with it slightly better. But there's the finished product, a nice neat buttonhole, both top and bottom. Now up to this point I've been manually raising and lowering the presser foot using the button or the lift. I haven't had the pivot function live, so I'm going to set that live now. Firstly, we need to come off the automatic buttonhole foot, so I'm just going to go quite simply back to straight stitch, and then you can activate it by just pressing that button there, and you'll see the lights on so you know that mode is active. And then I'm going to start sewing. And you'll see when I've stopped now, the needle has stayed in and the presser foot is automatically raised. So I can very simply pivot around, press the start, stop, pivot, go. Stop, pivot, go. You get the idea, and it's really, really super handy, and as you can see, it just makes everything so much quicker and easier, and your hands are on the work. Moving on to a different type of fabric now. and I've got some denim. So let's have a look at the type of thicknesses that the machine can handle. So I've popped a jeans needle on the machine, and I've got 2 layers of denim here. I'm on a standard straight stitch, and I'm going to increase the length just slightly because it's a thicker material. And that's sewn through that with no problem at all. Stitches are nice and neat, both on the top and underneath, and the seam is really secure. So let's double that over and go through 4 layers now. Again, that went through that with no problem, and it's nice and neat top and bottom and still really secure. So let's double it over once more. So we're going through 8 layers now. So I'm going to increase the stitch length ever so slightly again, and also slow the speed down. Now, ordinarily, when I sew through that many layers on a machine, if you've watched any of my other videos, I manually slacken off the pressure that's on the presser foot to help it feed. But because of the iCaps technology on this one, I didn't need to, because it automatically detected that that's the thickness of fabric that I've got. And as you can see, it's sewn it really well. And don't forget that's 8 layers and still a secure seam. So now I have a trickier type of fabric, a stretch jersey. I've popped a jersey needle on the machine, and I like to use a walking foot when sewing with jersey because it really does help to stop that kind of waviness that you can get. Having sewn with this fabric before, I know the correct stitch is a triple straight stitch. Now there's a direct dial to that, so I just need to go back to here for the direct selection, and then number 7, and that's my triple straight stitch. And there you can see my inability to sew in a straight line, but look how flat that's sitting on the top and underneath. And you can stretch the fabric with the stitch, both along that way and on the seam, which is lovely and secure. Whilst I've got the walking foot on, let's take a look at some quilting to see how it handles with the layers. I'm going to go back to a standard straight stitch, but I like to have the needle in the middle position when I'm quilting because that's kind of where I follow everything. So I can see that that is number 3 on here. So I just go back to number 3 and you can see the needle's moved across to the middle position. It's got such great fabric control on this machine. You could see that I was kind of just steering from the front, but there's no shift in the layers whatsoever, and it's nice and consistent, even tension, both top and bottom. Now, because the foot has a nice wide opening, you can do some decorative stitches with the foot, and there's a really nice stippling stitch on this machine. And that's in this folder, and number 35. So I just select that one. I'll show you what that looks like. And look how neat that is, both on the top and the bottom. When it comes to free motion work, there's two different ways you can go about it. So you have the standard sort of hopper style foot, or this foot which doesn't move. It basically hovers over the top of the fabric, and that's because we have the electronic presser foot function. And I'll show you how that works. So within the settings, there is a free motion mode. Let's go to those a minute. There, and at the moment you can see it's off, so I'm going to turn that to on and then choose the straight stitch. Now for this foot the needle needs to be in the center position, so I'm going to go back to, whoops, and you can see it's moved the needle over. And then what happens is when I lower the presser foot, it detects the fabric that's underneath and sets the foot at the height that you need it for the fabric that you've got. So I'm just going to draw up the bobbin thread. And let's go for it. I'm just going to stop to move my threads out of the way. And there we have it. The stitches are nice and neat and consistent tension-wise, both on the top and on the bottom. Lastly, let's take a look at achieving a 1/4 inch stitch for patchwork piecing. So I've taken it off of free motion mode and raised the feed dogs and popped on the 1/4 inch foot, which has this guide on it. And I'm going to choose one of the piecing stitches, straight stitch, which is number 30. And then what you want to do is line up your fabric with the very edge of this guide. I'm just going to go under there a little bit more. And as long as you're running your fabric along that edge, then you're achieving a consistent 1/4 inch all the way along. And you can see how consistent that is, but it is down to us to make sure that we're lining that edge with the guide of the foot. And this foot is also really useful for any decorative top stitching because you know you're keeping a consistent distance from the edge of the fabric all the way around. I really hope that you've enjoyed taking a look at the Brother Inventio 1800Q with me and that you've learned a lot about the machine's capabilities and how it might just be the right machine for you. The machine comes with a 3-year warranty and there is a card in the box that explains all that to you. And don't forget, at the Sewing Studio, we're here to support you in any way we can. We're a team of sewers ourselves and we're passionate about what we do and pride ourselves on knowing our machines inside and out. So please don't be afraid to get in touch. Easiest way is to just pick up the phone, or you can send us an email or pop on live chat. Delivery is fast and free. It could be with you in just a couple of days. So what are you waiting for? Thanks very much for watching and hopefully I'll see you again soon.